Hello, and welcome to the Looking Place podcast, where we endeavor to guide our listeners through a journey of discovering your intrinsic power. I'm T.
And I'm Mel. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey, Mel, what's going on?
What are we talking about today?
Let's see. So I think what we have been led in the spirit to discuss with our listeners and really just talk amongst one another and hopefully share something that someone may take beneficial is what this thing of awareness is about within the spirit and how to utilize it as the intrinsic power, as we said. To just kind of help guide your journey in a way that is, making life less personal.
What do you mean by that? That's a good point, but share what you mean by that. Because it kind of sounds like we're doing the thing, but we don't have to take the thing personally, which is life. Because life is going to do life.
Right. Let life do life. Yeah. It sounds so counterintuitive to a person to say, don't take your life personal.
I know,
like, what does that mean? That sounds, what are you talking about?
Yes.
And those words actually just came to me in this moment. So I'm trying to meditate in the moment. Not take this journey, and this is your very individual, unique journey that you came into this human form to have an experience of.
Right.
But you have to still have the knowing that you are not the essence. When we talk about the true nature of who we are, the I am, the source, the God energy, that has no person, that has no, the expression of that in humanness is us. It is the human form, and we live on planet Earth, but that is not the essence of who we are. So if we are only rooted in our personhood and therefore taking life personal, that's a life full of struggle. That's a life full of struggle.
I know that life. Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah, me too. And I would guess that there are many other people who can share that sentiment. I don't know. What do you think?
So I know we talked about this thing, this called life. We've talked about, the mind, and, we have this conscious mind, this subconscious mind, unconscious mind. We have all of that.
Right.
And then this whole thing called an awareness. And that was new to me for maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I started reading some of Eckhart Tolle's stuff, and he was talking about the awareness. And I did some of his classes, and he was talking about, like, literally, like, you're sitting there with everybody in the class, and you're just quiet.
Right.
And I just thought, how long are we going to go on with this?
I came all the way out here.
Well, no, this was online. Thank goodness.
Well, whatever the case is.
Yes, thank goodness it was online.
Just sit still and be quiet.
Yes.
Yeah, things to do.
And I really did. I know, right? That was me.
Yeah, things to do.
I don't have time to sit here. But I really got what was going on because I started to listen to that. I don't have time.
Right.
That was what was really going on in the background. This seems a little silly. Like they've been doing this literally for 30 minutes.
Right. So you're saying in that time you were at least able to be aware of that voice.
That voice.
This is silly. I got things.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
And that's the awareness.
That's it. Right there.
And initially I wasn't present to it, but then as you sit there and you're being with yourself, you could start to hear that chatter that's going on. Right. And this is the thing. A lot of times we're not aware of that going on. And that's what's running the show of our lives. We think it's
the person.
What we're thinking now. Oh, that's a beautiful picture. We think that that's what's running the show, but it's really not. It's like, that's an interesting goal, though. We start to point things out in the back, but our mind is thinking one thing. Do you get what I'm saying?
And so that voice in the head is something that we all have, but a lot of us don't realize just how much it's going, and almost to the point where we think that it's normal. We have normalized the mind just being constantly going. And we don't even identify that voice in the back of the head, that constant chatter, that self-talk we don't even realize that we're allowing that aspect of who we are to run the entirety of our existence.
Exactly.
And that is not, to my discovery, that is not how it's supposed to be.
Exactly. And it's something that you have to put the work in.
Right.
Like, it just doesn't happen by osmosis. And one of the things that Dr. Joe Dispenza says is by the time we're 35, and Bruce Lipton might say it, some other people, but by the time we're 35, we are like 95% of us is just memorized programs, certain emotional states that our body's used to going through. Like, that's who we are. So it's like these automatic programs.
Okay.
And so it's not like you get up in the morning and you're just like, oh, this is how I'm going to be. No, you get up in the morning and it's just like, oh, I got to go to work. But you're getting ready for work.
But you almost wake up from, and that'll be a whole nother topic about where we go when we fall asleep. But we wake up from that state of non-thinking, not even really being in our personhood. And then as soon as we open our eyes and we're open to the reality in our world, immediately the mind's going. How many of us wake up with something on our mind heavy?
It starts.
Check the email, or, oh, I forgot to do
those
this.
Memorized
the work has this. You just barely opened your eyes and already the mind.
It's already going. It's those memorized programs. So you really don't have to do much.
Right.
Because it's just doing it for you. You know, and people will say, why do I keep repeating the same things? It's because we're just memorized programs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all we are.
Yeah.
And once we start using our awareness, or we start waking up, or we're present to that unconscious mind, the one that's running the show back there, then we could start to create something different in our lives. Transformation happens because now we're aware. So if you try it out, audience, if you try it out, just take 15 minutes a day and just listen. Just sit there with yourself, no TV, no cell phone, no distraction, and just listen. And you will hear what's going on in your mind. Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It's that little voice. That little voice is always there.
Yeah. You know, when I became acutely aware of the voice, because I always knew it was there. I always knew that there was a voice in my head. You know, I think we talked in the previous session about my personal journey experience of having always been able to identify that there was something else, even as a child. That set aside, the moment I became acutely aware of the voice, the chatter, the self-talk, is when I intentionally tried to meditate. And that whole concept of, you know, stop your thoughts, shut your mind down. My God, I was like, be quiet.
It got louder.
I'm trying to be still and be peaceful. Why
it got louder. Like, you're not going to do this.
Oh my God. In the moment that I tried to stop my mind from thinking and be in this meditative state, all the thoughts, every thought, any thought, it was like the mind, which I also have come to understand and identify with as being the ego mind. It just was like, absolutely not, man. You think you can push me out? No. What about this? What about that? What about that? Oh, you trying to be quiet? Okay. So but we still got to deal with this. And it was like, okay, this is what this is now. This is what, and so in that moment of becoming acutely aware of the voice in my head and how it really, by and large, was a disservice to me, because it doesn't always have to be a disservice. But let's be real, most of us allow negative self-talk to overtake our thoughts way more than positive.
That's true.
It's just the nature of kind of who we are in our conditioned.
That's very true.
So when it came to me starting to really bring some attention to that chatter, that talk, that's when I was able to discover through time, through the grace of God, okay, I'm not trying to necessarily shut my mind down. I'm just trying to bring awareness in. And where awareness truly abides, the mind automatically will just let it be. Let it be.
That's a good point. Because our mind just goes.
Yes.
And I learned this from this Hindu monk, Dandapani. And he talked about, it's really He said it's almost like a misnomer to say, oh, my mind was wandering.
Mm-hmm.
He said it's not your mind that's wandering, because your mind is your mind.
Right.
It's just your awareness. And we have these different grooves that you will, neural pathways is what they're technically called.
Right.
So if you can imagine, like, this one is for sadness.
Okay.
You have one for happiness.
Right.
You have one for joy. And whichever one is the road most traveled, that's the one where your mind will tend to go. Those thoughts will tend to go. Let's just go your awareness will tend to go over in that area of the mind. And I took his course maybe about 3 years ago, and he explained it, and I really got that. Like, our mind is our mind, and we can control our awareness. So that we have control over. And that was like, thank you.
Sounds like an Oprah say, aha moment.
Yes.
Because I think my aha moment in that was when it really settled in my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
The mind cannot exist without you.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
absolutely can exist without your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And when that settled, and when I heard the words, it didn't really click right away, but through the grace, through the continued just looking and watching and being aware, when it settled into my spirit, I said, okay, this whole notion of trying to stop my thoughts implies that I'm going to be in some type of contest, competition, or working against myself. No, that's not what this is about. This is just about me bringing the awareness toward when I'm in that state of the mind going, I can be aware of that. And I don't necessarily need to stop it, need to repress it, need to judge it, need to make but just the awareness of it, just the attention toward the thought is just by itself enough. Because naturally, if you continue to be in that state of consciousness, the thinking mind, the ego mind, will naturally not be able to exist in that space. And it's not even that we're supposed to be in that every moment of we're still human beings having a human experience.
Exactly.
And so even that gave me some permission, liberty, give myself grace. The mind serves a purpose. God gave it to us for a reason. God gave us a natural brain that is able to produce thought for a reason, for a practical reason. We have just fallen into this state of existence within the human species where we where we've been so distracted from what our focused attention should be on. And so by that, we have conditioned ourselves to believe that it is only the mind that should be navigating our journey. And I think that my discovering through the pointings of different teachers and just by, again, the grace of God within me have led me to this discovery. And this may not be for everybody, right?
Right.
You know,
right.
this mode of existing, this, even for the person who is on a spiritual journey, this may not be their approach.
It just may not be.
And that's okay.
Because we're not saying that this is the truth. They're just different ways of looking at things. It's just another way of looking at something. And so, like T said, it may not be what you're looking for. It may not be your approach, and it may be your approach. This is kind of what helped us. And so I do want to point that out, is that we have our ways of doing things that helped us. I have things that helped me. T has things that helped her. You may have things that helped you. Some of the things we may or may not have in common, and we're not here to judge it. That's the point I want to make. We're not here to judge it. It's just another way of looking at things.
Now, I do believe, and not to be in disagreement with you, but I do believe there's only one truth.
What's that?
One truth, that the true nature of who we are. There's one source consciousness. There's one God, universe, whatever word, verbiage, language that you use toward it. There's just that one source. And that for anyone who has the intuition to be on this journey of seeking, inquiring, you're going to come to we're all going to come to one conclusion. The path to that conclusion absolutely is diverse.
But what's the path? What do you mean by that?
So the path could be if you were practicing a specific religion, you know, and within that religion, you had to, you know, you read certain books that helped you to connect in that way. Or if you're a person who, likes to, I know you had shared your journey of doing different practices and taking different classes and courses, or if you're a person who connects through some medium of creativity, or an artist, a painter, or you're a person who, it doesn't matter, the path being whatever your approach to connecting to that source.
But I guess what I'm asking is, what do you consider the truth? Because there have been several times in my life where I felt like this is the truth.
Okay.
And what makes that the truth?
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, that's what I want to know. Like, what is the truth? What do you feel like is the truth? What makes it the truth?
Okay.
And what makes something else false? Like, what is?
So when we think about, I want to say first that I have come to discover, and I shared this the last episode that we recorded, the closer, not closer because there's no proximity, the more that I am able to be in this space of awareness and be in this space of what I believe to be a true connection with source, you have to abandon the notion for the mind to want to know this, for the mind to want to comprehend this. We're talking about a state of existence that has no conceptual, intellectual knowing. And so for us to talk about and to try to bring rationalization or information toward that thing that is beyond concept, it's beyond an educational knowing. It is just a knowing. And if you're not in the place yet in your journey where you are ready to essentially abandon the notion that you need to know and be comfortable with not allowing the mind to have something to conceive of and to put knowledge toward, it's going to be a very uncomfortable exploration, because first, and that's been my experience. I first had to become comfortable with not knowing.
But what are you, when you say the truth, I just want to make sure the audience understands what you're saying. So is it the truth that you don't know something? Or is it a being, like place of being?
So kind of, I'm leading to it. So what I've discovered is through the liberation of understanding this is not something my mind will ever be able to comprehend, my human mind. And this is not something that I'll ever be able to bring an intellectual, conceptual knowing of. Once I let that go, I was able to understand what I discovered to be the truth is, again, there's one source energy. And within that source energy, we come here to have a human experience as a manifestation of that source, right? So if we say there's one creator, again, creator, God, universe, source, whatever. Please don't get caught up on the words. If we say that there is a creator, then we are creation. And if we are creation and we are a manifestation of that creator, of that source, here to have a human experience, we need to understand that underlying that human experience is going to be the source energy that was there before we came into the body, and we will return to that source energy. And within the play of life, within us just going about our daily practical activities, having relationships, establishing careers, experiencing all gamuts of emotion, the truth of it is that is not who we are. We are source energy. We are creation. And when you understand that you're just here to have your human experience in all of its facets, and then you can have that awareness, but yet also that is not who I am. Like I can look in the mirror and I'm going to see a Black woman. I can identify myself as being a mother of 2 sons. I can identify myself as being a physical therapist by trade, but that's not who I am. I'm creation. I'm a manifestation of source. And so within the play of life that I'm going about, if that awareness is always there in the background, foreground, whatever, then I can understand that the true nature of who I am has no condition. And so therefore the experiences that I'm having, essentially the world that I create is a world that I create through my perspective.
So the truth for the listeners, then the truth is, you're saying the truth is that we are a creation of the one source who created, and that's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
I think so. Yeah. Well, I know what I'm trying to say.
I just want to make sure the
Yeah.
audience
So
is clear.
again, and I don't want to make it overly complex. It's not a complex thing. Actually, I've discovered it's very quite simple. But again, that comes by way of having at least the intuition that the mind will never be able to conceive of this. We are a manifestation of God consciousness, source energy, creation, creator. When we're going about our lives, if we can have the awareness of that, and we can take the personhood out of everything that we, how we maneuver through this experience, if we can take the personhood out of it and operate from that space of understanding you are just a manifestation of God consciousness here to have a human experience, that is what I believe to be the truth.
And but that's not any different than like what Christians believe.
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah. That's why I said, no matter your path. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
No matter your path, because this is not a Christian consciousness. This is not a Muslim consciousness or Jewish consciousness or Catholic consciousness or Black consciousness, white consciousness, Asian consciousness. It's one consciousness. It's one source consciousness, one creator, one source. So if by Christianity or by any other avenue, venue, you come to that discovery, that is the truth. And
that is your truth.
Yes.
That is your truth. Because I think it's we got to be clear that your truth might not be somebody else's truth. And so we don't want to judge somebody else because they may feel like this is their truth for them. But if we say this is the truth, then we're making it seem like what this person believes is not the truth. That you've got the truth.
Right.
And so,
I see where you're going with that. Yeah. And I think where that gets convoluted is that because we have adopted the practice of religion instead of really just honing in, and again, there's no judgment, but when you get into the practice of religion, by and large, it is distracting. It's distracting from having that true established connection because again, we want to put our mind in charge of what's happening in our experience. And if I'm wrong in saying this,
but you're not wrong. It's just your version of the truth.
Well, what I'm saying is, if I'm wrong in saying that, I believe that there is only one truth. I don't believe there are multiple truths to be discovered. I believe there's only one truth to be discovered. But by inquiry, by seeking, by whatever your journey is in moving in that direction of what we call enlightenment or awakening, there's only going to be one discovery to be made. And that I do believe that to the very, very core, in essence, of who I am. There's only going to be one discovery, and it can be a diversity of ways, approaches, paths, people, because God put diversity within this world experience that we're having. We have diversity in nature. You see, I can look out my window and see multitude of different trees all existing at once, but they're not the same tree. It's not the same tree. They're different trees. They're different plants. They're different bugs. They're different animals. We're different people. So diversity is a part of what our human experience is here. And that's fine. And that can be even a part of our seeking. If we're on that path to enlightenment, if that is something you've even come to this lifetime for, to find enlightenment, we're not all here in this lifetime to seek enlightenment. And that's fine too. That's okay too. But if you are in this lifetime to seek enlightenment, whatever part of the globe, planet you're on, whatever book you may read, whatever interactions you may have, if you're truly on that path and your intention is genuine and sincere, and it has no regard for how you identify with a religion, outside of religion, we are going to come to the same truth. We will come to the same truth. That is, I believe that with an ounce of doubt.
Okay, got it. And I just want to make sure that that's clear for the audience, what she is sharing about her truth, and that if you resonate with that, that's good. And so people have different ways of doing things and different comments and different things like that. And we welcome you to share those. You can reach out to us and all of that. So today we've been talking about the power of awareness and just how that affects us, how it can further your journey in life or not, depending on if you're aware of it. So, what other thoughts do you have about just the awareness and all of that?
I don't know. I feel like I talked as much as I can on the topic at
Of
the moment.
awareness?
What do you?
Yeah. Yeah. So, what's we're just train that we don't go over. We're good. So, what I think about when I think about awareness is kind of what I shared about just that mind and just being very, very aware of it. And it can take us in different journeys, on different journeys. But just, and people, it's interesting because I've been reading lately about what was there before African religion, like African spirituality.
Right, yes.
And that's a whole different story that I won't get in on today.
I'd love it so much to discuss it. I was just listening to go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a very whole interesting take, a whole different take on it. And what they were doing and how they connected to the universe and how they connected with the stars and how they use horoscopes. And, I was kind of initially, we use horoscopes as kids. We read them and like, oh. And then I was kind of taught, oh, nah, you don't want to get into that. Astrology, and then learning more now how, wow, our ancestors actually connected with all of that. Right. And just how they manage that and with manage their lives with horoscopes in the universe. It's just been interesting and amazing. Sometimes I get off topics.
Because there's so much we could
just bring me back.
No. We have to bring each other back because I'm ready to go deep down into that topic too. Because there is an element where we just spirituality was nothing separate from there was no separation.
It was one. Yeah,
it wasn't like I'm going to go to church or I'm going to go pray or I'm going to go read the Bible or the Quran. It was just it was just the foundation of existence. Right. There was no so that's a whole tangent we can get on.
Yes. So just in my journey, I'm just really learning just some different things, and it's a pretty amazing. It really is. Just let's see. A few weeks ago, we went to hear this Professor Kaba Kameen, and that's where we learned a lot too. I bought one of his books on African spirituality. Okay. Before religion, that's what it was. Okay. And I know that some of the things that I've even been reading for myself, it's just that I made those things wrong before. Like I said, astrology. Yeah. Even with the earth, just being a breathing entity.
The earth is a living entity.
I learned that a few years ago in one of my energy classes, and I just thought, wow,
the earth is quite alive.
Yes, that is, wow, like what?
And honestly, the earth doesn't need our help in replenishing. It just needs us to stop destroying it.
Yeah, we just have to take care of it. Yeah. So it's just a fascinating journey.
It is.
I'm just learning a whole lot, and
So can I ask what your discovery of the power of awareness, what has that brought you to? What have you discovered by intentionally being in that place of awareness? What have you discovered for yourself in your journey?
Yeah, so it was like I was saying earlier, just with discovering that, it's just brought me more peace, especially with myself, because what I was doing was constantly judging myself. And I didn't even realize that I was doing that. Oh, why did you do that? You're not good at that. Why would you make that decision? Right. Wow. If people knew that, they might not want to be your friend. It was just all this stuff. But now I'm at peace with myself. So much peace. Because I didn't have that peace. Yeah. And when I didn't have that peace before, I tended to judge more. So now I judge so much less. Okay. I won't say, oh, I don't ever judge. Just the mere fact I'm like, okay, sure. I mean, it's a judgment. It's just a judgment. And all judgment is not bad. Some things, like your hair is long. Yeah. Some people might say, that's long enough. Yeah. They might say, my hair is too long. That's just a judgment. Yeah, exactly. It's just a judgment. Yes. But it's not like one of those judgments where, Right. It's just, you like potatoes? I might not like potatoes. Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. You got your judgment about potatoes. Yeah. Do you see what I mean? So there's a certain point. But I feel like when I judge myself in a negative way or I judge people, that's so much less. Yeah. So I feel like I have so much more peace. And I feel like in my life, I can create my life every day. And if it's not moving exactly like I want it to,
Mhm.
it's not. It's okay. Yeah, it's just
okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I used to feel like,
Yeah.
you haven't done X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Are you slacking? You don't know what you're doing? It was just all these different thoughts.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I'm getting there. Like yesterday, I thought about, oh, I think I want to do this program. But it was no judgment around it. Like,
Right.
you better hurry up.
Yeah.
Oh, you're running out of time.
Yeah.
It was just that it's something that came to me. It was like a
Right.
download. And I was
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
hey, I think
Yes.
I just want to do this
Yes.
program.
Yes.
And then I mentioned it to Maurice this morning, and I'm just okay.
Yeah.
Like with where it is.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm
Oh,
saying?
absolutely.
I feel like I judge my children a
Yeah.
lot less.
Yeah.
Because I brought my kids up. Once you reach a goal, what's your next goal?
Mhm.
I would always say, okay, you accomplished that. What's
Mhm.
next?
Mhm.
What's
Mhm.
next?
Mhm.
What's next?
Right.
And they never really had a chance because I didn't do this either. Just smell the flowers.
Mhm.
What do they really smell like
Mhm.
before you try to go over to the next goal,
Okay.
to the
Yeah.
next field?
Absolutely.
So I'm just okay now with like, and I won't say 100% because I know I'm that kind of person. I am that kind of girl. But just smelling the roses.
Yeah.
I have to purposely tell myself, ooh, smell these roses.
Okay.
Don't try to go smell the other field.
Right.
Just be with it.
Right.
Just be with
Right.
yourself.
Right. And
Yeah.
so I think that's probably, if there's any practice to being an awareness, and eventually you'll come to understand there's no practice to it when you're just there. But in the practice of it and the understanding of it, that sense of right now, present awareness, right? That might be the most difficult thing in the person, in the ego mind, to really be able to abide in, because we are so conditioned. Either we're so far in the future, or we're in the past, or we're everywhere but right now. Where if it's 2 something in the afternoon now, I could be thinking about this morning. This morning is gone.
Why dwell on that?
Why
Yeah.
dwell on this morning? So I think what a good way for anybody who may be interested in this particular journey of staying in the place of awareness, just start with allowing yourself to be in this right now present moment, whether it's smelling the roses, or if you're doing some mundane tasks such as washing your dishes. Feel the water, feel the warmth of the water in your hands, smell the scent of the dish detergent. Sounds silly, but no, that's what it's about. Because this is the only thing that is actually real. Once something has happened and it's in the quote unquote past, it's no longer real unless you continue to keep it real in your experience through your mind. If you're thinking about something in the future hadn't happened yet, it's not real.
It's not.
It's
real.
only as real as you manufacture it in your mind. And so I don't want to condemn the mind, because again, I believe that this is a wonderful instrument that God blesses with. But when you get on this path, and when you come to this point of discovering, you'll even realize, and you said something just a moment ago that was so poignant, when you get those downloads, those intuitions, those are thoughts, but those are thoughts that come from that foundation of source, of that foundation of quiet stillness, where it's not the ego mind taking over. You're still having thought. You're still living life. You're still doing practical things. You're still checking your email and going to work and hanging out. You're still doing all the things, but it comes from this foundation now where the ego mind is not in charge. And so therefore the process of thinking becomes non-problematic. Our minds are very much a problem for us in the state that we are now. But you can come to a point where your mind doesn't trouble you. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. You're at peace with your mind. Yeah.
It's no longer problematic. And it's not to say you never have a negative thought, but then when you can put awareness to that negative thought, that's the power.
Yes. And the one thing that I will add before we just wrap it up is just that I said it earlier, just to spend time with yourself. Just sit quietly, because we live in a world where there's so many distractions. You got the TV, your cell phone, you got other people talking, social media. If we could just turn all that off, and I do as a practice, I do it in the morning. I do meditate probably like 99% of mornings. Like it may be one day I don't or whatever, but 99% of the time I meditate every day, because that's how I get in my quiet space. And I also just have practice when I go to bed. I like to just get into my body, and I like to just be still. I just really like to just be still and just be calm. And that really, really helps. And when you do that, you will hear your thoughts as you're just lying there,
Yeah.
being calm with no TV, no distractions, no conversations. If you can just practice that, and then if you even just write down some of those thoughts, because typically what happens is we forget what we said, like we just go, our mind moves so fast. I mean, how much information, how many thoughts do we have a day?
A lot of them.
I used to remember the number.
I know what you're referring to.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I can't even remember the number at this time. But
Ridiculous.
yes. So if we at one
Most
point
of which don't serve us well. if we're
right,
being
because we're
honest.
repeating like 95% of the
Right.
thoughts from the day before
Absolutely.
is what is being said by scientists. And so, but if you write down some of those thoughts, just take today, for instance, sit down 15 minutes, just think about what you're thinking about, because that's where transformation happens.
Yes.
Is once you think about what you're thinking about, okay,
Bring attention
write
to
those,
it.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, bring attention, awareness,
Mhm.
write those thoughts down, and just keep a little journal, and just see if you're duplicating those thoughts. And then when it comes, you have to be very present about it. When those thoughts come, you can, because I do this. Nope, not today. Stop, cancel, clear. I do that. I do that because,
Reroute.
yes, because sometimes they slip in. So, in order for transformation to happen, you want to be very aware of what you're thinking about, very present to what you're thinking about. That's how I
I
would
want to
end it.
say, this may not be by my discovering through my journey. It's not easy, but it's so simple. And it's not easy in the sense that we have, and even well before we came into our body, we've already been in this conditioned world where we think the mind should be in control. We think it irresponsible if we're not facing our problems head on and if we're not doing the things. If you allow yourself the ability to understand that you are going to continue to be in your personhood, and that's okay. If you can have that place again of awareness, we keep coming back to the awareness, you are going to oscillate between being in that very enlightened, still, quiet God energy, being back in your ego mind, and it's fine. Give yourself grace. Not, oh, there I go thinking again. No, it's fine.
Yeah, it's totally
It's
fine. Exactly.
You're
I see
gonna
what you're saying.
oscillate. Even in the most frustrating part of my early stages of trying to meditate is I was in the mode of thinking that I needed to shut down thinking. And I would get so frustrated that I could not shut down thinking. It's like, this should be so simple. Just stop thinking.
Just stop thinking.
The hardest thing.
Right?
And then when I allowed myself the liberty to know, okay, if you're oscillating, that's fine. You're going to have a moment of stillness and quietness if it's just for a second. And then you might have several minutes of thought. Bring yourself back. Just keep coming back with grace, with positivity, non-judgment. Just keep coming back.
Yes.
Just keep coming back. And then you'll discover that you'll spend more time, or maybe I should say less time, less frequency in the oscillation. You'll still continue to oscillate, but it will be less frequent oscillation in a wrestling feeling of here, there, here, there. There's no duality in it, right? And so, again, we could talk all day about these different branches, but I just want so much for people to understand, if you just give yourself some grace and allow yourself to go through that process with ease and let a simple thing be simple. It is simple. It can be simple if we allow it to be. Then you can be in that oscillation of mind, spirit, mind, spirit, mind, spirit. And then there's just the foundation of the source that is in the background of it all. And the mind will not be problematic, and thoughts can be inspired, and intuitions can come, and life can just take care of life.
And I think that that's what you just described, and this is a conversation for another day.
Yes.
I'm not going to digress.
We're not doing it.
I'm not
today.
But that's what some people call the quantum field.
Okay.
Or the vertex. So that's we're not doing it today. However, we will cover that conversation. We will cover that. And that's just
a few more words for it. Just a few more words.
And joy.
Yes. The quantum
field. Yes. Or the vertex.
Okay.
The vortex.
Okay.
And so some people might call it heaven.
Okay.
So it's just a different word.
Yeah.
And once you get there, it's just like my gosh, like I had the best meditation this morning
Mm.
where I was there. And when I was ending, I was feeling like, I don't want to end this. It just felt so good,
Yeah.
so peaceful.
Yeah.
And I will say that when I get there, I don't have all these thoughts.
Right.
Yeah. It's just like that peace. So anyway, like I said, I'm not going to digress.
We're going to go there at some point.
Yeah,
I'm
so,
interested.
yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, so many
Well,
things.
wonderful. Well, thank you for another
Absolutely.
conversation.
Love it. Love it. And thank you, anyone who saw fit to give your time and attention toward this discussion. Hopefully it inspired something in you. Please do share with us. We'd love to be able to connect. This is really about connecting with community.
Yes.
We don't all have to be like-minded or doing the same thing.
Yes.
Let's celebrate our diversity, but let's connect with community.
Yes.
There's a shift happening. There's an energetic shift happening amongst humans, and we want to connect with community. So please do share with us, reach out to us. We'd love to connect and communicate with you all.
Yes. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. We appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely.
All right.
Take care.
Bye-bye.